Hi, I'm Jorge Antonio Vallejos, and you're watching BlackCoffeePoet.com. I am the Black Coffee Poet, and this is my website, BlackCoffeePoet.com. This is the first in a series of vlogs, and it is the first vlog that I'm doing called Free Books. Why am I doing this? Because a ton of free books come my way. The post we're talking about today, this vlog I mean, in reference to this post free books, is about how I got 45 free books recently from a friend. And as you can see behind me, I got a ton of books. I got books stacked on the floor, stacked on my desk. I built a shelf going from wall to wall over my bed, and it's full of books. And you know what? There's books behind this camera, there's books on this bed. I just got a ton of books, and I love it. And there's a couple bins here that are also full of books. So let's get to it. A couple of weeks ago, I think it was 3 weeks ago, my friend Marcia, who is someone I know from the coffee shop, she's a really cool lady, out queer woman, very political, very lefty, and she loves blackcoffeepoet.com, and that's how we became friends. It was like, I'm moving, I'm leaving the hood, and you can have whatever you want in terms of books. So after a series of phone calls, I finally got her. We set a date. The date was pushed back a couple times, and what happened was that I finally got her, and I got to go to her place, which was great. I walk in, she points to two shelves, and she's like, take whatever you want. So, a little sip of coffee here. I wrote about that in my post free books, which was this week, Wednesday the 14th of March. So you can read that, and that's why we're doing this video in relation to that post. So let's get started. What are we doing here? We're going to be showing you the poetry books that I got. So some of these people are really popular, some are not. Dying by Pieces and Other Rituals by Bonaventure Sabto. No idea who that is. Agnes in the Sky by D. Brandt. I know who D. Brandt is, heard of them before, excited about reading this. This is a short anthology called Corn Pone. No idea, but hey, I'm going to jump into it. I've seen this one around at local festivals, little small book fairs and stuff, punk shots. Interesting. I love the back cover, and they signed it for Marcia, which is really cool. Actually, a lot of the books are signed to Marcia, and now they're mine. And this is one called Dear John. I'm not sure if it's about someone being left. You've heard of that Dear John letter. If it is, that's kind of cool. But yeah, I'm just interested in it. And a lot of these books are older too, which is really, really cool. So now to the political poetry. I've got some post-war Russian poetry. I'm very interested. The collected poems of James Agee. I looked him up. Lefty guy, poet, pretty interesting. You know, Wikipedia had a page on him. Adrian Reach. When I talked to Marcia about Adrian Reach, she was like, you must read Adrian Reach. You've got to read Adrian Reach. I'm like, all right, cool. So I took him. So I got like selected poems of hers over 24 years, 1950 to 1974. And then what I've got is like a study of Adrian Reach's poetry. So it's really cool. So I got like some of her poems, a lot of her poems, and then a study of her poems for my own study, which is what blackcoffeepoet.com is. Here's the really cool stuff. I had never heard of Kazuko Shiraishi. This is called Seasons of Sacred Lust. And she's a Japanese poet. She's totally like challenging like the norm and being like super cool. I've read a little bit of it. I love the cover, if you can see that. And I love the name, Seasons of Sacred Lust. These two I'm really interested in. I'm a mixed race poet and I'm half Arab. So poems of Arab Andalusia, and also modern poetry of the Arab world. Hey man, can't go wrong. I haven't read enough poetry. The only people talk about are Khalil Gibran and also Mahmoud Darwish, which are both great poets. I've actually got another poet somewhere here that is Arab. So I've only really read 3 people, so now I'm going to get to read a lot more Arab poets. Awesome. The Pat Lowther poem by Gail McKay. I believe Gail McKay is like a local poet. I'm in Toronto, by the way, Toronto, Canada, and so she's probably from here because Coach House Press published this, and they are a local Toronto press. And this is, you know, just a small book, short book of poetry, and it's also old, which I'm loving. I'm loving all these books that I've gotten from 1978 that I've gotten from Marcia, like books from the 70s, the 80s. So This is someone who's really important in terms of like the Canadian poetry scene, the especially Toronto poetry scene. It's Gwendolyn McEwen. There's a park actually dedicated to Gwendolyn McEwen in Toronto. If you don't know it and you're in Toronto, it's on Walmer Street, just north of Bloor. That's the Bloor and Spadina area. Small, cute park. I've actually taped some people there for the site. Donis Kennedy sang there, an opening and a closing for my special month last year, celebrating Indigenous writing, which was the whole month of June. And yeah, I've had lots of hangout sessions there. And now that I've got two of Gwendolyn McEwen's books, I might get someone to read at the park for the blog, my site. But what's interesting is that she's no longer with us. She passed on really young, and the rumors are that she killed herself. Other people say no, she was an addict, and that's why she passed on. I don't know. All I know is that I'm grateful to have like original copies of her books. This one is from 1972. That's cool. And this one is one of her later books, I believe, and it's from 1982. Wow, 10 years apart. Anyways, she's no longer with us, and it's contested, and it's a pretty touchy subject, actually. Did Gwendolyn McEwen kill herself? Did she just pass on from natural causes? I'm not sure. I'm just grateful to have her poetry. But yeah, I've been at like literary events where people have had major arguments over that. So what are we moving on to now? Oh, and I've got the poetry of Black America. Yeah, Marcia has a really good collection. When I picked this up, she was like, excellent. You know, Marcia is a white woman, and she really has educated herself in terms of peoples of color, history of peoples of color, indigenous peoples also. And so yeah, so it's really cool to have this. I've only read a few black poets myself, and so I know that I'm gonna enjoy this anthology. Um, well, let's go to biographies. So William Carlos Williams, pretty interesting. He's a white guy. I thought William Carlos Williams, because the name Carlos for a long time, was brown or Latino. He's not. Whatever. But this is cool. It's called "I Wanted to Write a Poem: The Autobiography of the Works of a Poet." So if you're a writer or whatever field you're in, it's really good to read biographies of people, biographies of people. You learn what they went through, what they did, the hardships, the struggle, their skill, their craft. And so it's a really thin book, and I'm really excited about it, actually. He's like, a really well-known poet. Delmore Schwartz, The Life of an American Poet. Another lefty guy from New York City. I Wikipedia'd him. And again, I'm really taking the advice of other people. You should be reading people's biographies. I don't know Delmore Schwartz. I've never read any of his poetry. But you know what? He's a poet. I'm a poet. I'm a writer. He's a writer. Why not? Learn from someone who came before me. That's really big. This is cool. Anna Akhmatova, Poet and Prophet. Russian poet. This book's fat. It's huge. What's really cool too is there's a bookmark here of This Ain't the Rosedale Library, which is a bookstore that no longer exists. It was a queer bookstore, no longer here. So I'm happy to have this, and it was in the book. Thank you, Marcia. So this is a big fat book. I'm going to learn a lot about Anna Akhmatova, and she was an important poet, and she probably had similar politics to me from the poetry that I read of hers. So I'm excited about that. Another book is One Writer's Beginnings, Eudora Welty. She's a very well-known fiction writer from the States, and I'm happy to have this book because, again, I'm going to learn about who she was, her craft, her life in terms of writing. So moving on now to reference. I got a lot of reference books from Marcia, which is great. Some poetry. It's a little short thing here. Poetry, a modern guide to its understanding and enjoyment. And then I got a classic, which you should all have. The Elements of Style by Strunk and White. If you're a writer, if you're in university, whatever field you're in, you gotta have this book. The Art of Fiction by John Gardner, Notes on Craft for Young Writers. I've heard both positive and negative about this book. I've heard, do not read this book if you're a writer, it will ruin you. I've heard other people say, I'm a writer because of this book. Whatever. Canadian Words and Sayings. You might be interested, you might not. When I picked up this book, Marcia yelled, "You must read this book!" She pointed at it, she flipped through the pages. This is a book about the word, the written word, language. And so I took it. I'm like, sure. I think she read this over and over again, and she yelled at me to read it. So I'll be reading it, Marcia. And something that I need, the Poetry Dictionary. You gotta have this if you're a poet. There's several versions of this from different writers, different publishers. I think I've got a couple, but why not just take another anyways and get a different view from a different person? Let's see. So I'm gonna move on to just a little quick reference here. It was interesting. I got Breaking the Silences, 20th Century Poetry by Cuban Women, and then a novel, Dreaming in Cuban by Cristina Garcia. I'm pretty sure this is ultra left and people from Cuba. I'm pretty sure this is an American Cuban who's probably gonna hate on Castro. Hey, Marcia had both. Why not? I'll read both of them. On to nonfiction. So, the Vintage Book of Canadian Memoirs. I'm also a memoirist. I've been published in 3 different places. My memoirs have been published in the Kenyan Review, which is an international literary journal, Descant, which is one of the top literature journals in Canada, and a anthology called Crave It, Writers Do Food. I love memoirs, so I'm going to enjoy this. Granta, the Storyteller. Granta is a great literature journal out of England. I want to be publishing Granta one day. There's lots of things in here by different writers. As soon as I saw it, I just picked it up fast. The KGB Bar Nonfiction Reader. This is a bar in New York City, and they have readings, and this is their nonfiction reader. So it's got like memoir and who knows what else. And I was like, yep, that's me. This guy is Douglas Featherling, Way Down Deep in the Belly of the Beast, a memoir of the 70s. Probably a lot of sex, a lot of drugs. Gonna enjoy that shit. Philip Larkin. I don't know why Marcia had it. I don't know why I'm enjoying it. He was a fan of Margaret Thatcher. That just shows you how he's completely opposite of Marcia and I. But I enjoyed his interview in The Observer, the London Observer, I'm assuming. He's from England. And this is his miscellaneous pieces from 1955 to 1982. Again, I've been told to read everything by my different mentors, so I'm already enjoying it. I doubt I'll enjoy his politics once he gets into it, but I'll learn other things from him. Probably how to write better book reviews and, how to ask better questions in interviews, etc. This book I've wanted for a long time. I hadn't bought it, and then Marcia had it. The Story of a Shipwrecked Sailor by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. This is one of the greats. He won the Nobel Prize in 1982. He's Colombian. People think he's Mexican. He's Colombian. South American, homie. Anyways, and he's been better known for his book, 100 Years of Solitude. But this is a nonfiction book. A lot of people don't know that he was actually a journalist, and he wrote this. And I'm excited about reading this. Why? Because I'm also a journalist. Blink by Malcolm Gladwell. Malcolm Gladwell actually was raised like 2-3 hours outside of Toronto. He's another mixed race writer like myself, and probably stuck out his whole life. And now he writes for the biggest and one of the best magazines in the world, The New Yorker. Anyways, this book is about making decisions fast. A lot of successful people make decisions quickly. I'm interested in reading it. Don't know if I'll like it. A lot of hype around this guy, so free book, why not? So now we're going to move on to the novels that I got. Kazuo Ishiguro. This guy's been like acclaimed highly all over the world. The New York Times always gives him a good review. So, An Artist of the Floating World. And it was White Bread Book of the Year in 1986. Cool. When Marcia saw this and I was like, who's John Dos Passos? She like leaned in and was like, you must read Dos Passos. Yeah, she says that a lot to me. Well, in particular when I'm in front of her shelf picking off books. The Manhattan Transfer. No idea what it's about, but I took it. And this guy is from Brazil, Jorge Amado. Gabriela, Clove, and Cinnamon. I've heard of him before. I've seen his books at big bookstores, like, not newly released, but like reprints and stuff like that. So I'm like, yeah, why not? And then this guy, J.M. Coetzee, who is from South Africa, and I found out later that he was white. I always thought he was black. Whatever. He's like an acclaimed writer, writes about colonialism and stuff. We'll see if he's good and lives up to the hype. So now we're moving on to short stories. What did I get from Marcia? This adorable book by Anton Chekhov, and it's 2 of his short stories, The Black Monk and Peasants. This book is tiny. Check out the print. I'm really excited about it. Chekhov is like one of the best short story writers, if not the best in the world. He's acclaimed. 89 pages. I can just take this anywhere with me, so I'm excited about that. So adorable. All You Can Eat, stories by Robin Hemley. Never heard of him, but in the back I read stuff and I was like, all right, this suits me. I'm in the process of learning how to write short story. It's really hard. They say if you're a poet, it's easier for you. That's not been the case for me. So whatever. I'm working on a short story now, and it's already been rejected by one place. So I gotta rework it, rewrite it, reread it, and in the process, I'll be reading more short stories. This is another book that I wanted to buy for a while. Other Fires, short fiction by Latin American women, and it's edited by Alberto Mangual. Suppose this guy's edited everything under the fucking sun. He like never stops working. He's got his own collection of like 50,000 books. He did a really cool documentary series called Empire of the Word on TVO, Television Ontario here in Canada, and it was super cool. Anyways, he had the privilege and honor of being mentored by Jorge Luis Borges, the Argentinian writer who people say was snubbed by the Nobel Committee and never got the Nobel Prize, and he should have. Don't know. Anyways, so you know, again, I'm all about like supporting women of color, and I like reading women of color. So I'm really excited about reading Other Fires. Now to the miscellaneous. Marcia, for some reason, had 3 unused sketchbooks, so took that really fast. This adorable one that's hardcover. I don't know if you could call this a sketchbook. I think it is. Might just be for notes. I'm not sure, but took that. And then one from a place that doesn't even exist anymore. Coles, the book people. I'm pretty sure this is from like the 80s. It cost her $1.10, which is nothing. Anyways, got that. So I'm not even sure if I'm going to use it. It might just be memorabilia. And then to end with, what did I get? A book lover's diary. It just seemed like appropriate to take it because all these books, and maybe I'll keep a diary of what I read of all the books that Marcia gave me. So thank you very much for checking out the first vlog in a series called Free Books. Like I said, I'll be doing these every so often, and they'll be about all these books that I have gotten for free. Of course, a lot of these I've paid for, but I've gotten tons of books for free, and I keep getting books for free from different people, writers, friends. I'm walking in the neighborhood, and people leave boxes of books out because now they've got their stupid ass Kindles and their e-readers. You won't catch me with that. So I'm benefiting from all this electronic stuff by getting free books. So thank you for watching blackcoffeepoet.com. Subscribe to the Black Coffee Poet YouTube channel. Comment. Let me know what you think of this video, this first vlog of mine. And just, keep in touch, and check out blackcoffeepoet.com on the regular. We're up Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Monday's always a review. Wednesday's always an interview. Friday's a video of the person that I've interviewed and reviewed. Or on a week like this where I've written my own stuff, it's a video of me. So thanks for tuning in, and stay with us. Peace out. Keep reading.